Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Better Know a Highway, here on Virtual Road Trip, a series where we look at the interstates and highways that cross this vast country of ours. In this episode, we have a critical corridor traveling the interior East Coast, a major thoroughfare for trucking and long-distance travelers from north to south, Interstate 81. And before we get started, I just want to remind you to please like this video and subscribe to this channel. I always appreciate that. Make sure to check out the VRT Discord, link is in the description below. And also, I have an official announcement. VRT memberships are now available. Yes, for just $2.99 a month, you'll get special perks, such as custom badges and emojis to use in chat, as well as a shout out in all future videos, which will be shown here. That's pretty cool, right? Your name right there. Also, you'll be helping me make this channel even better long into the future, and I definitely appreciate that. So to join as a member, just click the join button below. Funny how that works. And thank you. Now, sit back, enjoy, and let's get started. Interstate 81 is a mostly north-south oriented highway in the eastern US. It runs a path of 855 miles through 6 total states. Situated inland and running through generally less populated areas, I-81 serves as a major trucking route where large amounts of cargo and freight are moved up and down the East Coast, avoiding the much busier and congested I-95 to the east. 81 also runs parallel to US Route 11 for its entire length, having numerous exits with it and essentially serving as its modern replacement for long-distance travel. Beginning at the south end, I-81 starts in the state of Tennessee, where it runs for a total of 75 miles. Its southern terminus is at a junction with I-40, about 30 miles east of the city of Knoxville. However, 81 heads in the opposite direction to the northeast and into the mountainous part of eastern Tennessee. Throughout its time within the state, 81 traverses rural Appalachian terrain, passing through numerous small towns and providing indirect access to cities such as Greensville, Kingsport, and Johnson City, with the latter two connected to 81 with the intersecting I-26, a significant route in the southeast. As it heads northeast towards Bristol, Tennessee, I-81 soon enters Virginia, just to the west of the city, where it proceeds to trace a long path through the state's western edge for 325 miles, the most of any state it travels through. Once out of the Bristol area, 81 returns to the rural Appalachian Valley terrain in the southern part of the state, passing more small towns with little merging traffic, thus helping the many truckers and haulers through this corridor. A junction with Interstate 77 is also in this area, including a brief 9-mile concurrency along the way. The next major settlement to be reached is Roanoke, Virginia. 81 bypasses the city to the north, but has a local spur, I-581, that heads south into the downtown area. Moving on, I-81 begins to turn slightly more north as it enters the historic Shenandoah Valley. It soon comes to another junction and concurrency, this time with the east-west running I-64. This concurrency lasts for 30 miles and ends near Staunton, Virginia, where 64 breaks off to the east. Continuing through the Shenandoah, 81 passes numerous Civil War battlefields as it enters a narrow valley reaching the Winchester, Virginia area and at the northern end of the state. Here, I-81 has its final major junction within the state, the western terminus of I-66, which heads east towards Washington, D.C. 81 then passes right through the city of Winchester, and only after a few more miles, crosses the state line heading further north. I-81 makes short passes through the next two states, West Virginia and Maryland, at 26 miles and 12 miles respectively. After crossing the border, 81 quickly makes its way into the Martinsburg, West Virginia area, first passing a few suburbs, then the city itself, as well as the local airbase, and a junction with State Route 9, which leads to nearby Harper's Ferry. After leaving the area, 81 passes a couple more towns before crossing the Potomac River via the appropriately named Potomac River Bridge into Maryland. Here, I-81 crosses the Old Line State at its narrowest point for just 12 miles. Although brief, 81 has a junction with the major east-west Interstate 70 after its first few miles within the state, and then proceeds to serve the Hagerstown area, the largest city in the western part of Maryland. Crossing just to the outside of it, and connecting to both the city and its airport to the north, I-81 quickly leaves the state soon after at the Mason-Dixon line. Now in the state of Pennsylvania, I-81 spends a significant amount of time curving its way north through the state for 232 total miles. Initially entering the Cumberland Valley of the southern part of Pennsylvania, 81 begins to curve further to the west after it reaches the city of Chambersburg, which it passes just to the east of. Now on a west-northwest direction, I-81 enters the Harrisburg area and the capital district of the state. Before reaching the city, 81 has a crossing with I-76 and the Pennsylvania Turnpike. There is, however, no direct junction between the two, requiring drivers to exit the highways and use US 11 to connect. There is, however, a direct interchange at the next major junction, this time with the northern terminus of I-83 on the eastern side of town. Staying to the north of downtown Harrisburg, I-81 crosses the Susquehanna River and proceeds out of the area. It's not long until 81 has another significant junction, this time with the western terminus of I-78, which itself heads east towards New York City. I-81, however, turns to the north to make a direct cut through nearby Blue Mountain via the narrow and steep Swatara Gap, then turning back to the northwest on the other side. 81 will make several runs through numerous gaps within this ridge and valley region of central Pennsylvania. Eventually it makes its way to the city of Hazleton, where 81 turns due north and intersects with the long-running major Interstate 80. Then, soon after, it winds its way down into the populated Wyoming Valley to pass through the Scranton-Wilkes-Barre area. Within this valley, 81 serves both cities and their suburbs, while also having junctions with first, the western terminus of I-84, and then to the north of the valley, the northern terminus of I-476, which is an exceptionally long spur that serves as the northeast extension of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. After leaving the Scranton area, I-81 travels through the sparsely populated northern tier region before crossing into the last state along its route, New York. 81 cuts a 183-mile path through the central region of the Empire State. Quickly upon entering, it reaches the Binghamton, New York vicinity. Here, 81 has a couple junctions as it circles the downtown area, first just to the east, and then to its north as a concurrency with I-86 and New York Route 17. I-81 then turns back to the north to leave the concurrency after just a few miles. It then has another junction with I-88 before leaving the area entirely and heading deeper into the central part of the state. Blazing a path due north, 81 passes through several smaller upstate cities and towns, such as Whitney Point and Cortland, staying just to the east of the Finger Lakes region, before eventually reaching the Syracuse area. Here 81 passes directly through the city, while its spur, I-481, serves as a local beltway. It then junctions with the New York State Thruway and I-90 just to the north of downtown. Now past Syracuse, 81 heads into the Tug Hill region of New York State, passing inland from Lake Ontario. Deep lake-effect snow is known to affect this area, often shutting the highway down for several days at a time. Past this spot, the highway arrives at the city of Watertown and nearby Fort Drum, a large military base with a spur, I-781, that leads directly to it. The final section of I-81 heads through rural northern New York and into the Thousand Islands region along the St. Lawrence River. A popular summer vacation spot, 81 provides access to the south bank of the river, as well as nearby Wellesley Island, which is the last stretch of land for 81 in total, as it terminates at the international border with Canada at the north end of the island, where it will continue on to eventually reach the major Canadian Highway 401, and thus ending its long 855-mile run. That's going to do it for this episode of Better Know a Highway. Really hope you enjoyed and learned a little something along the way. There sure were a lot of junctions with this one, huh? Anyway, just make sure before you go to hit that like button and subscribe. Always appreciate that. And make sure you check out the VRT Discord. Link is in the description below. And remember, memberships now available. $2.99 a month, special perks, badges, emojis, plus a shout out in all future videos and live streams. To join, just click the join button below. And thank you for that. And until then, make sure you enjoy the ride. And up next, a big one, another big one, Interstate 80. And I'll see you then.